bitch this paid. Shit, what could a hoe say? The bag so expensive, my pussy came with it. Body so nice, they be saying who did it. But everything natural, actual, factual. Prissy in the streets, but I like an animal.
What's up, everyone? It's Books and Looks TV. Today, I am going to talk about the recent social media commentary on Sweetie and Megan Thee Stallion. I'm going to talk about colorism, futurism, slut shaming, and everything in between. So be sure to stick around for this subject. I feel like people have always criticized Sweetie and her talent and Megan and her body count. And I'm really thinking this is only being brought up because of the recent rap beef between Quavo and Chris Brown. And Chris Brown basically said in his song that he smashed Sweetie and people just believed him. Speaking of which, let me define a few terms. Then I will discuss the multiple similarities and differences between the two female rappers, in my opinion. First, slut shaming. Slut shaming is accusing someone, usually girls and women, of being too sexual and using that as an excuse to humiliate, bully, or harass them. Sexism is the social marginalization.
Fuck my ex hoe, that's cool, I don't give no fuck, little nigga. Cause I fucked your ex when you was still with a bitch, I'm up, little nigga.
Welcome to Double Standards I Don't Understand. First up, sex. Why do straight men who want to have sex slut shame women for having sex and put a negative connotation on the idea of sex? Who the fuck y'all be freaking on?
Colorism, futurism, and texturism. The basic structure of pretty privilege is that people of color with lighter skin, narrower noses, thinner lips, lighter eye color, and looser curls or straighter hair benefit the most from pretty privilege. These features are generally deemed inherently desirable and inherently pretty, as stated by Dr. Sarah Webb. And while darker skin is not the societal idea of pretty, a dark-skinned girl with hazel eyes or long hair or a slim nose and a slender frame could be privileged relative to other darker skinned girls who don't have those features. Think of people like Tatiana Ali, Tika Sumpter, Keisha Knight Pullum, Asia Naomi King, and even Issa Rae. And even though these women are dark skinned, again, their features have and hair have actually linked into femininity. Is usually linked to physical attraction and how you carry yourself based on gender roles. I'm not saying that you must be physically beautiful to be deemed as feminine, but generally people who are deemed as physically attractive or beautiful are often already seen as feminine. However, how you carry yourself for your gender role, like as being a woman or whatever, is tied to your femininity as well. So again, usually how you look is like the basic or a privilege to being deemed as feminine without some people not even knowing you. People might even overlook you or overlook the things you do because you're pretty. And I think that has a lot to talk about this conversation when people say it's like a double standard on how Sweetie is often overlooked and she does like similar behaviors or 304 behaviors, as people like to say, as Megan. So Megan and Sweetie are both rappers whom have pretty privilege and two different upbringing that shaped who they are and how they navigate the male-dominated world of hip-hop. Sweetie is a 30-year-old rapper, entrepreneur from the Bay Area. She is a college graduate of the California, where she majored in business. Her ethnicity is multiracial. Sweetie has been very vocal about being in her bag and simultaneously like getting a six-figure dude. Her cash slogan is Icy Girl, where she often has flexed her jewelry and promoted women empowerment and just having a general good time. Sweetie is a foodie and often eats a lot of unhealthy food, but doesn't seem to gain weight, which some people would kind of say is a privilege. People tend to love people and girl chats and just her carefree spirit. Nonetheless, she has been criticized at times for thriving off of her pretty privilege. Many think she is a mediocre rapper with limited stage presence And the fact that she is related to Gabriel Union and Beethoven, the producer, doesn't make the rumors of her being an industry plant. Saweetie has also been known again for dating wealthy or relatively wealthy and attractive young men. Her most noticeable and arguably longer-term boyfriend was Quavo from the Migos. They happened to break up, and the recent beef with Chris Brown and Quavo had Chris Brown basically say that he slept with Quavo's girlfriend while they were in a relationship. So again, many people believe that because Saweetie is pretty, and she has had a history of being seen out with different ballers, such as even Chris Brown at basketball games, to say the least. So this slut shaming tactic brought about social media outrage, where people were calling on the double standards of how Saweetie, again, is often like overlooked or not talked about like Megan Thee Stallion is. And a lot of people will say that it has to do with colorism, but I dare to say that it has a lot to do with featureism and how both kind of carry themselves a bit differently. And I want to talk about this soon. And I think make Saweetie different than Megan Thee Stallion is that Saweetie happens to like be in relationships with guys. That now some people might still deem that as like, but when we think about gender, a lot of people might approve someone seemingly committed to someone for a devoted time, whether they have sex or not, as someone who's more stable or more feminine. And so I think that Saweetie being what some people would call a sneaky 304, it's kind of like, it just gets her out of some situations. And I'm not saying she is one, but that's how it appears to be. So Saweetie also, I feel like how she reacts to sometimes when men talk about her is a bit different than Megan. So Saweetie, she might throw subtle shade, or she might ignore it or smile in the guy's face altogether, or she might just put it in her music.
And I see y'all little chicken heads on live talking about 2K and who you dissing and whoopty whoopty whoop. Ain't nobody dissing nobody. When I went on Carisha Please, I told y'all, whoever's on Don't Say Nothing, whoever that messaging was towards, it wasn't towards nobody. Ain't nobody dissing them boys, so you can kill them rumors and kill that because, you know, y'all don't even know who I'm talking about. Anyways. Period.
Like a lot of people presume when her and Quavo broke up, she came out with this song, Back to the Street. I think that's the name. That was a song where she, she was like, she moved on from her ex, she threw him back to the street, and there was some insinuation that Quavo cheated on her. And so when she does happen to get caught on camera fighting in an elevator with a famous rapper, and she still doesn't really talk about it, but again, she puts it in her music, some people kind of respect that more than, say, Megan Thee Stallion, who's kind of seen as like a sloppy drunk, someone who's more pro-sex, more of a pro-sex advocate, and who likes to say how much she loves sex, and she's always seen a certain way. And there's more to that, but I'm just saying that's a huge difference on why some people respect her. And so remember earlier also I was talking about gender expectations in the world of hip hop. So Megan Thee Stallion, again, she's very free-spirited, etc., right? Megan Thee Stallion has been seen, like drinking with celebrities, on cameras with people, and there's been rumors. And I really think overall reputation is with Tory Lanez. And I'm not
Did you have an intimate relationship with him?
Like sexual?
Yeah. Megan, did you have a sexual relationship with Tory Lanez? Yes, that's my question.
I didn't have a sexual relationship with Tory.
So why do you think he's putting out the story that the two of you had a relationship and that you're making the whole thing up?
I think that he is trying to deflect from the fact that he committed a crime.
Blaming her for that. But it's just that in hip hop, a lot of times, and in like the Black community, there's this rule of no snitching. And the fact that some people view Megan as a snitch, even though harm was inflicted on her, really hurt her reputation as a rapper. It did two things. When Tory shot her and this thing unraveled, some people seen it like, oh, he humbled her because she was like this shit talker. You know, she's this tall, beautiful black woman, and some people can't accept someone owning their sexuality like that. So that was one thing. And then the second thing was when he happened to, you know, say that she lied, and just there was like just different rumors. It was a lot of mess around that. So that discredited Megan in hip hop, and that made people dislike her and just kind of go along with the notion, well, she sleeps with everybody, we can't trust her, you know, etc. But both of them are like very similar to me. Like both of them benefit from pretty privilege. Megan happens to be 29 years old. She's from Houston, Texas. She's a college graduate from Texas Southern University, where she has a degree in health administration. Unlike Sweetie, though, I would say Megan didn't have really her family around her. So Sweetie happens to come from a big family. She's very oriented. And I feel like having people in the industry and having family and friends around you helps you in general. And it helped her, I feel like, in the entertainment industry. Where Megan, you know, her parents both died. I believe she said she was the only child. And she was very like just free with trusting people. And I think not really having a support system and maybe not knowing how to navigate the business ended up putting Megan in a different space than Sweetie. There's also the idea that Megan happens to be darker. To me, she's not much darker, but I do think that that could play a role in how people see Megan versus Sweetie. Megan is also a bit taller than Sweetie, and she has a thicker build. A lot of people have masculinized Megan for being tall. You know, they say, oh, she's so strong, or she, you know, just different things to try to justify the mistreatment of Megan Thee Stallion. And it's really unfair, but that also goes into, again, featureism and how a lot of people view femininity. So even when Megan was shot, you know, people just were like, well, it doesn't make sense. Or, you know, when she tries to be strong and still dance or perform, you know, people, it just wasn't that much empathy. And I feel like her stature had a lot to do with it, and also her holding a black man accountable, to be honest. So I do think that Megan and Sweetie are both very likable. I think that Megan has had to prove that she's talented more than Sweetie. Again, Megan doesn't have those connections. Megan, she writes her own music. She's a very good rapper, and she has stage presence. And this isn't me trying to pit the women against each other, but there is an obvious difference of talent. I feel like Sweetie's talent is knowing how to get money, whether it's through entrepreneurship or being an ambassador, or just knowing how to kind of step away from things that doesn't suit her. But Megan, she has this great talent, and when she has the right team around her, she can maneuver. But both of these women are like very similar. Like they both like to talk about what a lot of like modern female rappers talk about, and it's like playing a guy, get some money out of him. Brand just happens to be hot girl. Again, it's Sweetie is this icy girl. And maybe to some people, Sweetie is seen as more exotic because she's like Asian and black. And Megan has said that she was Creole before. But a lot of people say she's black, and there are times where Megan identifies as black, and there's times where Sweetie goes back and forth from being black and or Blasian. So regardless, these girls have this long, thick, beautiful hair. They have a beautiful complexion. They have a great body. But again, how you move, I feel like, is determined along with your features. And for this case, Sweetie just happens to be more of a preference than Megan Thee Stallion. And so now I am going to play some public opinion, and then I'm going to pretty much conclude.
So I want to talk about colorism, specifically pertaining to the rapper Saweetie's career. So for those that don't know, Saweetie is an American female rapper. And while she's had many successful moments, right now we're seeing her career take a very big downslope. And I want to talk about why. So for those that don't know, she was in a public relationship with Quavo. And there were rumors going around that she has slept with Quavo's brother Offset, who, by the way, is a married man whose wife literally had to pay men to beat 2 women up because he couldn't keep his dick in his pants. But I digress, you know? So a lot of people have been bashing Saweetie because she came out with a song recently and she was speaking on a certain relationship, but not many people, like, she wasn't specific, but people assumed that it had to be either about Lil Baby or Quavo and Offset. So a lot of people are saying that this is why her career is plummeting, but I actually want to provide a different perspective. I think that Saweetie is a very beautiful woman, and I think that she's also very smart, and she definitely knows what she's doing when it comes to marketing. However, I don't think that she's the best rapper. I don't think that she's the most talented rapper. I actually think in terms of rapping, she's very mediocre, and I'm not trying to be rude or anything. This is just facts. But Saweetie was able to get away with being a mediocre rapper in terms of skills while also having a very exciting lifestyle and personality that could gravitate people towards her brand. And truly, I think the reason for this is because of light skin privilege. And a lot of you are going to say, oh my God, here you go again, bringing colorism into everything. Oh my fucking God, it's not about... If Saweetie was dark skinned with the same talent, I promise you she wouldn't have had the same success. And society wouldn't have given her a chance at all. And it is okay to acknowledge that, y'all. And it is okay to acknowledge that our light-skinned counterparts do have the luxury of being mediocre and still being successful in Black spaces. And before anyone starts, we are not blaming light-skinned women. This is not their fault. This is a system-made problem. And honestly, it's so stupid to act like this isn't the case because you know, if you slapped some light skin on Flo Milli or Amaretta or Tink, even Asian Doll, their careers would look so different and they would have so much more success. Don't lie, you know it. And let's also remember Saweetie's success does consist of hits, not albums. And anybody can make a hit and make it successful. But an album, that's different. So when we see low album sales from her, but we see millions of followers on her Instagram, we all get confused, but really the answer is in front of us. We didn't fall in love with Saweetie because she was talented. We fell in love with her because she was the pretty, thick, light skin who was very confident and had the lifestyle that we all like to watch. And we mainly just supported her music because we liked her, but not because we liked her music alone. You know what I mean? But let me know what you guys think in the comments.
Today, I will be making Filipino breakfast. If I had the right bread, it would be called pandesal.
Okay, I just want to say something real quick. I don't know if y'all care, but I really care. Saweetie deserves so much more love from the Filipino community. And like, I'm from the Bay Area. We love her up there. I'm half Filipino, grew up in the Bay. But I'm talking about like native Filipinos or like just Filipinos from other areas. I don't see the same love that like they had for Olivia Rodrigo or like Bella, you know? In fact, a lot of people don't realize that Saweetie and her, like, they're both half Filipino. And I argue that Saweetie like represents her Filipino culture and her love for our culture so much more than like a lot of artists. Like, I remember she was on live stream eating with her hands because that's something that we do. And people were tearing her apart before like realizing she's Filipino. Even then they like didn't care. And it's just really upsetting because I feel like inherently we know why they don't get as much love. And I know like this makes native Filipinos very upset when I point out like blatant like colorism and colonial mindsets, but like it's not really rocket science, is it? I think in general, I just wish that the Philippines and like honestly a large part of Asia in general cared more about how much like these artists love their culture and represent their culture proudly as opposed to what they look like. Because I'm also part Japanese and I see it there too. Like when Japan was obsessed with hafus, but with the minute that Miss Japan was half black and not half white, suddenly she wasn't Japanese enough for them. I don't know, you could tell me like it's not that deep. I know there's gonna be a lot of people who are mad defensive, but I just want to say I love Saweetie. I love her. I love so many of these artists who like share this culture with us and share that love. And I just wish they got that love back in return. But no matter what, the Bay loves you, Saweetie. We love you so much. I will bake you pandesal anytime.
I'm sorry in advance.
Megan Thee Stallion character is transgender.
I had so many comments mad about the last video that I posted about this, but I don't give a fuck. Literally, they openly show us that her character is a transgender character. When you look up Joshua Pete or whatever, when you look that up, you literally see Megan Thee Stallion. They have access to the internet. Why wouldn't they remove that? Plus, her baby pictures look fake. Like, y'all don't understand. They could fake anything. These pictures do not be real. And all these celebrities be Freemasons. They all be having checkerboard floors. But with her character is pink and blue. They do that shit on purpose. They throw it in your face, I guess, just to see how far they can take it to where y'all gonna believe everything. Because y'all literally believe everything. Be right in your face. Literally, pay attention. Right in your face. If you read this, you will just see that you're just not conscious enough. Like, you're not at the level
not
of
very long at all.
consciousness to
We
understand.
use the exact same DNA structure for all of our stars, and then we simply tweak minor details like hair color or skin tone.
Right, yeah, we do have some footage here of some of the well-known creations that have come out of your lab. Let's take a look.
Yes.
I know that video is supposedly jokes or whatever, but literally all the stuff that they do be truth mixed with lies. Megan Thee Stallion character is based off Pam Grier. And if you watch the Simpson video on my page, you'll see like how it's so many bodysuits in the closet. I feel like they really are made in a lab, but it's like an entity that plays the role of them. And the entity that plays the role of each character goes from character to character, like gets inside of that bodysuit to play the character. That's why they all look alike, and all the characters are based off a different, like a different character. They all look alike, and some people may not think Jennifer Hudson and Megan Thee Stallion look alike, but to me they look just alike, and I feel like they all played by the same entity, and I feel like, yeah, they the same people. And I know they have a picture together, but they literally only have one picture, and who was there to know if that picture is really real or photoshopped or whatever? Nobody. So y'all can hush.
And then in her caption, she said all of this and made sure to capitalize the word man. She put together a whole 2-minute video just to be transphobic. Like, what is wrong with y'all?
What's up, y'all? This is Addie here, and I just want to discuss the misogynoir all up in this Tory Lanez trial. Starting with this tweet here from the Almighty Troll, where he basically said Tory Lanez team chose the slut-shaming Meg as a hoe angle because they knew precisely how black men would react to that info. And predictably, here we are discussing that like that has any relevance to the case whatsoever. Okay, so, we knew how this would all play out. And, yes, this trial has been tricky. There's been a lot of details that have been unclear. And I'll even say that across all parties. However, if we want to really start to tease out, what was said and what was contradicted, what we would find is that when we look at any of the lies that Megan told around this trial, two lies really. One, that she stepped in glass and immediately corrected that and said she was shot, and explained why she said she stepped in glass, because it was 2020. Black people were literally getting shot like on television, and even white folks were like pissed off. Corporations were pissed off. They were giving black people things. They were like, well, golly gee, I believe black people now. Like, it was a whole thing. Do you forget? So, her reaction in that moment and that particular lie, to me, is reminiscent of the lies that black women often have to tell at the expense of themselves to protect black men. Oftentimes, black women who are in domestic partnerships or relationships with black men that may end up violent, that may end up in sexual assault, often bite the bullet and don't, tell the truth to protect their man. This is normal. This is not a surprise for any reasonable black woman. So shame. I'm not surprised by the toxic black men that can't even fathom this, because, you guys throw black women under the bus every day. So this is no surprise. But shame on you to the pick-me's, who, remember, you still are women and you still get the same treatment no matter how male identified you want to be. The other lie that Megan told was that she did not have an intimate relationship with Tory Lanez. She said this in a national interview with Gayle King. Now, I don't think that was a great move, and I think collectively we knew that was not accurate, and that likely was not the truth, considering the magnitude of the situation. But let's think about the ways that Megan had been slut-shamed up until that point. So in my opinion, she knew that would come out during the trial anyway, and maybe didn't want to deal with the continued shame and embarrassment that, you know, men were putting her throughout this 2.5-year ordeal. So this is part one. I'll finish.
A lot of you ain't gonna like this. Megan Thee Stallion. A lot of you guys are gonna be shocked about this. But if you think for 1 second that's a woman, you are way over your head. Her name is Megan Thee Stallion. What is a stallion? A male horse. She's telling you right in your name, the industry is rigged. And sorry to say this, she is a trans. She is a man. That is a woman now. That is not a full-blown man. And for a lot of you to think that that is a, you're crazy. There's a lot of cloning, a lot of shape-shifting that is going on in the industry that you know nothing about. You're idling celebrities that you don't even know who they really are.
Sweetie responds to Quavo saying he can turn a model into a sweetie, right? So I'm like, you got this whole Chris Brown and Quavo situation going on. They've been dropping diss track against each other. And Quavo just dropped his latest joint and he was going in. He started speaking on, hey, I can basically turn any joint into a sweetie, right? Out of all that's been going on, all the things Chris Brown said, Sweetie ain't had nothing to say about that. But she has something to say about that line that Quavo rapped, right? She said, hopefully the model you can turn into me replies. I believe Quavo can do that. Like most rappers can, right? We see it all the time. Look at Sweetie. Look at Amber Rose. Look at Ari Fletcher. Look at Jada Chavez. Look at India, Lil Durk's joint. So we're not gonna sit here and act like these joints don't become famous from dating a rapper. Like let's stop it, right? But I'm like, it's crazy. She ain't gonna respond to what Chris Breezy said, but she wants to respond to what Quavo said.
The biggest difference between the two. Ultimately, these women should not be getting shamed over their private dealings, whether exposed or not. It's their life and their body. It's unfortunate their business had to surface amongst the public, especially social media, because of men. But it's silly as hell that everyone cares about whose cooch was on whose meat stick. Bonus point. I know y'all dislike the pink hair ladyism. She's also small and petite, while Meg is taller and tall, thick, and tall. Thick black women are also often perceived as masculine. It's multi-layered. It's more so Megan refused to be their victim to prevent Tory from jail time, which regardless he was facing, and Sweetie never took action for Quavo and their elevator situation. They put black women in categories based on the abuse they endure. Regardless, both are young and single, and they can do what they want and explore how they wish. They don't like Meg because she's so off topic, but I wish people respect the women who actually don't engage in slut shaming or being a slut like they do slut. I feel like conservative and modest women aren't held to the same regard. Like, I remember when Glorilla and Sexy Red literally have denounced classy girls as boring, etc. Yet we often accept loud girls for being themselves. Aside from that, I say that Meg and Sweetie will continue to benefit from their business endeavors and social beauty capital. I just hope we can have the same energy for women we know in real life who decide to be sluts or refrain from it altogether. What are your thoughts on this subject? Let me know down below, and thank you for listening to Books&Looks TV. I'll see y'all next time.